Hello and welcome to the Ski Podcast, the UK's, should we say, best Ian or longest run-in? What do you think?
Both of those, definitely.
Well, we'll just go with that. And perfect. Right. So we are supported by Switzerland Tourism. It is said, Ian, that Switzerland was introduced to skiing by one of the UK's most celebrated writers, Conan Doyle, so Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes. It is said that in the 1980s he moved to Davos because his wife was ill. He started skiing when he got there because he saw it in Norway and really liked it. He found two other brothers that were also skiing in Switzerland in his newspaper column, and that is how Switzerland got skiing. There you go.
I like that story, and I have heard that before, so I'm willing to accept that as the truth.
This is a confusing episode. We were meant to be joined by Dave, who has just messaged me, and he was saying he thought it was at 8:45, not 7:45 or 8 o'clock. So we're going to hopefully be joined by Dave Burrows at some point during the podcast live. This is what it's all about. But Ian, you're in the Pyrenees. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Normally I'm in Brighton when we speak, but right now I'm looking out my window up at the ski area of Courtrai in the French Pyrenees, where we've just come for a brief half-term ski.
Magic. Coming up in today's show, hopefully Dave Burrows will join us. We will be talking about these following resorts: Anzur, Courtrai, Bansko, Les Arcs, and the Porte du Soleil. And there is a reason that Dave was going to join us, because we've got an important announcement to make towards the end of the program. Don't forget, you can get in touch with the show all the usual ways. On Facebook, you can find us. You can email Jim at the Ski Podcast or Ian at the Ski Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at the Ski Podcast. Ian's on Twitter at Skipedia, and I'm on Instagram at the Average Skier. Dave Burrows tells me he's going to be joining us live any second now, so we've got the intros out the way. We'll chat about any second. That would be exciting, won't it? Don't forget to leave a review. I wanted to say that. Ian, you asked me last time to check out the strikes.
Oh yeah.
And I can report that I didn't actually ski up and look down at Megève to see if the ski lifts weren't working. But by all reports that I've seen, no one was really affected by them. Here, where I live in Neclusa, there was people wearing some armbands, and there was a protest in the centre of town to raise awareness of this plight of losing their stuff. But there was no actual impact. They were very, very keen not to have any impact on.
Okay, that's quite interesting, because I've been relating to a few people about your very good point that you made in the last podcast about needing to make sure that your chairlift is maintained by someone who knows what they're doing, rather than someone they've just brought in for the day. And hopefully it has raised some awareness of that. I did see that on the Saturday of last week, there was an Extinction Rebellion demonstration at Chambéry Airport. Did you see that at all?
I did read something about it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think again, they were just bringing awareness, and no one missed their flights and no flights were cancelled or anything like that. But there's a nasty piece on Twitter of them being pepper sprayed by the police to encourage them to move, which seemed a bit heavy-handed to me. But none of that in resort, although I believe that you personally have been affected by strikes currently today, even.
Currently today, it's ruining the Fresh Powder Day. Ian, live news. Dave Burrows is here. Let's bring him in.
Good morning. How are you?
I feel like we're having a proper broadcast. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm all right. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
That's all right. Ian was a bit pushed for time, so we started broadcasting. So, we can either edit the spin or out or see how it feels. Are you all right?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really good. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful blue day, bluebird day. Snowed a bit yesterday, so yeah, pretty cool.
Good. Remind me, Dave, where you are? Are you in Morges?
I live in a place called Val d'Illier, which is just on the way to quite a famous resort called Chambéry. And yeah, so I'm there. It's in a valley called the Val d'Illier, which is part of the Porte du Soleil.
Yeah, cool.
And you're excited, Dave, that it's snowed and it's not followed by rain immediately.
That's been the story of this season, isn't it? It's been a really, really weird one. Every time it snowed, it's rained and just washed it all down the road. It's been a really, really strange season this year. And it's just,
and that's why
just how it goes.
instructors have those big overall coats that you wondered what they were actually for. It turns out it's for that.
Yeah, the instructors, especially every instructor who is in one of those lower lying resorts, is going to have one of those big long coats. I personally don't wear one because the clients can't see your legs. So what is the point of it? But then I'm actually taking the view that in recent years that I ring up most of my clients on those rain days and I say, look, it's just not worth doing it. So we normally try to reschedule, but yeah, it's been a bit difficult, especially with this half-term week that we're having right now. It's just difficult, really difficult when it rains. It's not a nice experience for the clients.
Smashing. Well, thanks, Dave, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Join in at any point. You're not just a passenger on this show. You're part of it. Right. Let's move on with our first bit of information. Ian, you want to talk about Snow Aid in Australia? What's all this about?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a fantastic venture. It's actually been set up by a woman called Rachel Oakes-Ash, who runs a website called Snow's Best in Australia. And obviously, I think everyone knows that they've had very serious bushfires over there. So she has pulled together the snow sports community. She's managed to get over 100 items contributed for this auction, and it's basically run online now. It's pretty near the end, but there's some amazing items there, and I think at the moment they're getting close to $200,000 that she's raised, and you can find it at airauctioneer.com /Snow Aid Australia. We'll put a link in the show notes, but it's such a brilliant idea, and I really wanted to do a shout out for her. And if anyone wants to get a bid in, probably be over actually, I think, by the time this goes live. Did you look at any of the things available there, Jim?
By the looks of it, most of the things have 1 day left. So when this pod goes out, it's going to be a case of let's see what you could have won. What could we have donated to this had anyone asked? Some stickers and a collection.
I don't know how much Ski Podcast stickers would go for. I mean, they're things like holidays too. I mean, the top one at the moment, as far as I can see, is 8 nights in Aspen, which is going for just under 12,000 Australian dollars, or a trip to Sun Peaks in Canada, including flights, probably from Sydney for $10,000. But there's some really, really good. Oh, there's one with 46 minutes left. I feel like getting in there now. Threadbow, 3 nights for, it's really good idea. And I'm just so impressed with how she's put it together. Just such a great idea.
I'm surprised Lidl didn't donate anything. Dave, you could have donated something. What would you could have had a ski lesson with Dave Burrows.
Yeah, I could have done that. I've done that in the past for various other auctions and stuff like that. It doesn't probably raise enough money to put out any kind of wild bushfires in Australia for what people would pay for me. But I did have my eye on the Julia Mancuso signed US ski team hat, which I thought was, and there was no bids on that, so I was quite interested in that one.
I'm glad it was a signed hat. I was worrying where that was going to go, Dave, for a minute.
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't bid on anything, but I do know the guy who's head of the ski school at Aspen Ski School, and I know that they've donated a whole bunch of stuff. Aspen itself there's loads of stuff on there, and to me, I think it's just brilliant what they've managed to achieve there.
What I would have liked to see. Oh, sorry, Ian, you carry on.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're not trying to put the bushfires out. It's actually for to help wildlife rescue and rehabilitation, I think.
Oh well, my mistake.
No, it's not that mistake. But anyway, it's a great idea.
Yeah, Dave. Those kookaburras can't put out the fires themselves. They need someone to look after them.
Fire denying, but that will be really good, right? Because the devastation is massive, and it's going to be a huge cleanup operation after that's all finished, isn't it?
One thing I was sad not to see in the auction, I'll be honest, is the Fuzzalp Rossignol jacket that President Macron was sporting while he was up there Mont Blanc, checking out the destruction caused by climate change. Did anyone see this? Are you excited?
That is
they're going to step up their game and stop people climbing on Mont Blanc.
Jim. Very skillfully linked to segue from one to the other there.
It's literally the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, I know. I mean, President Macron went to Chamonix to look at a melting glacier I think, we all know, I think we covered that in the last episode about how Chamonix is having its warmest winter on record. But yeah, he announced a number of climate change policies for France. But I also found it very interesting that they are going to change the rules about access to Mont Blanc itself. Because we covered back in episode 40, we talked about that bloke who carried the rowing machine halfway up Mont Blanc.
I mean, he was the person that Macron has been saying is the cause of all the pollution up on the top of Mont Blanc. He hates him.
Yeah, exactly. That guy there, he called an idiot.
I have certain issues to do with Monsieur Macron himself anyway, and his kind of his little photo shoot that he did, pretending
he's got the same jacket as you, Dave.
He hasn't got the same jacket as me. I wouldn't be caught dead in that. But my main issue with that, I think, is it's kind of timed, and I saw a lot of people sharing that on social media, and declaring the end of winter as we know it. And there's no doubt that glacier has receded over a long period of time. But actually, I think when you live out here for a long time, you see kind of good seasons coming and going. This year is a particularly weird winter, like a weird snow year. And in any given kind of 10-year cycle, you'll probably have a couple of absolutely amazing powder years like we did in 2013, 14. And I think maybe a couple of years ago was another one where it just didn't stop snowing. And then, you'll have a couple of years where they're absolutely terrible. For example, when I first, 2009, 10 was an absolutely terrible snow year as well. That was really, really bad. And it reminds me a little bit of this year. It hasn't snowed much. It snowed early, and it didn't really snow again significantly at all. And it just goes like that. Next year might be an amazing winter. Now, there's no doubt that the glacier itself has receded. That I've been there myself. I went there with my daughter in the summer to go and have a look for myself. And it's weird, but for Monsieur Macron to go there and get kind of a big photo shoot and kind of pursue his agenda, I think there's kind of bigger stuff at work than him.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, Dave, but these are politicians, and that's kind of how they work a bit. I mean, I really was more sort of interested in how the mayor of Saint-Gervais, who we spoke about before, is talking about limiting the number of people who can access the top of Mont Blanc. Yeah. Which is less about climate change and more about controlling the environment in that area. And they're going to be asking climbers for proof that they've actually planned their way up, that they have reservations, that they've got all the right equipment with them. And I think that seems to me to be a reasonable idea to try and keep people safe and limit the number of people and the amount of rubbish that ends up on the mountain.
Do you think this ends up being rolled out down the Vallée Blanche? Do you think it's where that will happen as a wider thing in the mountain area, not just for climbers?
I think one of the issues is, for Mont Blanc itself, is that a lot of people, are staying on the way, not necessarily doing one run in one day like you did when you did the Vallée Blanche, which we talked about in the last episode. They're going up and staying in the refuges or sometimes outside the refuges and leaving a lot of rubbish along the way. So
a base camp scenario up at Everest, you mean?
Yeah.
I think one of the issues with Mont Blanc, I think, is that it's not. I mean, I haven't climbed it myself, and I'm not an alpinist, so I wouldn't know. But from what I know, is that it's a relatively easy mountain to climb compared to some other stuff. So it's quite achievable for a lot of people. Hence, you've got guys going up there, like a rowing machine on their back and trying to land planes and stuff on it. I mean. I think if you're going up Everest, you need to get the right permits and stuff. Why wouldn't it be the same for Mont Blanc?
Or do they just need to make it harder? Let's be fair. If you're saying it's too easy, they just need to make Mont Blanc harder to climb. Problem solved. Right, so that's that done. Let's crack on to Anzeur, where me and Dave went skiing. Here's our report. Well, no, Dave wasn't in. He was just eating in it. Dave, so that was our report for Anzeur. My question is, Dave, do you think we were just lucky when we got there?
In what way?
I mean, it was we rocked up, and that first run, It was big smiles on your face, my face. We skied solidly all morning before our wonderful fondue. There was no one on the mountain, and it was in tip-top form considering the temperature and stuff. Were we just lucky?
Yeah. Well, yes. The snow was fresh. It was cold. January was really cold, right? So the snow was reasonably fresh, in really good condition. I had a new pair of skis. It was, and actually, that's my favorite day so far this year that I've had. I'm not saying it's all down to you, Jim, but it was really, really good. Yeah, and we had a blue sky day. We had love fondue. I think, you know, when all of the stars align like that, you can have a really, really good day on the mountain. And I've, you know, in terms of this sort of concept of overall mountain experience, that was one of them. You know, all of these kind of things come together and make for a great day.
Yeah, I liked it, and I was really pleased. Like I said in the report, Julien got it spot on. Ian, we found this beautiful place for fondue overlooking the valley, and no one else was really there. We had to trek to it secretly. It was just one of those magical romantic moments. I feel like our relationship came a long way at that moment, Dave.
It sure did.
So there were no hangry moments there then.
Oh, we nearly had an argument. We tried to get lost. You'll hear we actually recorded another thing about us being like punters on the mountain, and we could have that in the summer, I think. But yeah, we did have an argument at one point about getting the police map out on the road.
Yeah, there was stick waving and kind of arguing about where we were, and then trying to get to this restaurant. We couldn't work out where it was. We ended up like in the middle of this terrible off-piste bit, and it was, yeah, but we found it in the end, and then it was all right. And you know, we were those people that you see on the piste quite often. It amazes me when people come on holiday skiing that there's so many arguments going on that you see, and we were those people. It's like, it's not this way.
I've always said that a ski trip is a test of a relationship. Do you find that
when you've got two kids in tow as well, and you've got to get all their kit to and from the mountain, then it becomes more challenging.
Just enjoy yourself.
It's bizarre the amount of stuff you have to carry. Well, my daughter's only 3, and I've only got one of them. So fair play to you, Ian. You know, I always look at the parents who've got more than one, and they just look tired. But like it's just the amount of stuff that comes. You know, my stuff is kind of neatly organized in one bag, but her stuff it's just loads of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Loads. You know,
well, as it is, if we can say, you know, I'm here with my family right now. We're in Courtrai in the French Pyrenees, and you mentioned the snow not being a vintage season. Obviously, December was really good. You know, we skied on the first day here in Courtrai, went up to the Cirque de Lys, and you know, I was probably expecting it to be pretty bad. It's not a very big ski area here, but actually we didn't have to queue for very long, and the snow was in a reasonable shape. There's coverage everywhere. Courtrai has a really good record for snow, and I think one of the key things is when you're skiing with your family, like if it was me or me skiing with my brother or someone like that, I'd be pretty damn disappointed. I skied here before and really enjoyed it. But when you're skiing with your family, you just want to be on the mountain in the fresh air. You know, the weather's been great. Yesterday, we went to Grand Tourmalet, which is a 45-minute drive to get to Barèges. Grand Tourmalet being, let's say, like the Three Valleys, you know, the name for the area, and the resorts within it are Barèges and La Mongie. It's a much bigger ski area, 100 kilometers. And we got there quite cold in the morning. Snow cannons were on with this little strip of snow coming down to the ski area. And I was thinking, geez, you know, this doesn't look good at all. When I was saying, oh, but you know, this is a south-facing side. It'll be all right on the north-facing side. Don't worry. We went over to the top, looking down into La Mongie, and it looked like really sparse, really bare. And I was thinking, God, you know, this is not good. But having said that, we actually skied around, and it turned out to, and you know, it warmed up a bit. We were there a bit, and the ski softened up a bit. We went to some of the north-facing areas, went away from the blue slopes onto the the reds, where it's a bit steeper. You know, you've had fewer people pushing the snow out of the way, and it was really good. It was such a good day. You know, we had a really good time, and we had none of those arguments you're referring to, Jim, that sometimes crop up. We managed to eat at the right times, and found a lovely restaurant terrace, you know, sitting away from everyone else in a nice corner of the mountain that you actually had to walk, let's say, 100 meters, 200 meters up a hill to get to this terrace. You're literally sitting on the top of a mini hill, let's say. and it's been really good so far. And we also went up the Pic de Midi. Have you ever been there or done that?
No, I haven't. You put a 360 video on the old internet somewhere, didn't you, Ian?
Yeah, it's a photo. I got a 360 camera. They have one of these. You know how in the Aiguille de Midi in Chamonix you have the step into the void. The glass box which has a big drop. Well, up on the Pic de Midi, which is 2,900 meters, so not as high, they've built the ponton dans le ciel, so the bridge in the sky, and you can walk out about maybe 20 meters, and you have a massive drop below you. And spectacular view from there. And this is they have an observatory up there at the Pic de Midi, which is constantly manned. They've got scientists up there, etc. I stayed there a few years ago. It might have been before we started the ski podcast. I can't remember. But when I went there a couple of years ago, I skied off the bat with a guide. There's absolutely no way you could do that this year.
It's been they started off the same as us. Like, it wasn't a different similar. It's been a similar snow season in the Pyrenees, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think when those storms came through, Dennis and Kira, they missed the Pyrenees, so to speak. So they didn't bring any snow then. Whereas I think, Dave, you've had snow, when those storms came through, right?
Yeah, followed shortly by rain. But I thought the Pyrenees got absolutely dumped on was it not about 3 weeks ago? There was I saw some images of just like meters and meters and people having to dig themselves out of their house and stuff. Did that miss where you are then?
I know what you're talking about, but it's longer than 3 weeks ago. And it's been remarkably warm. You had a mini canicule heat wave over here. So, it was... well, in fact, you may have heard this terrible story about another resort in the Pyrenees called Luchon, where they used a helicopter to move snow. Did you see that at all?
I did. Everyone was really cross about it, but it makes sense. If you've got to do it and save the jobs, you can't. It's not the most environmentally friendly sport anyway, is it?
Well, no, but although as we've discussed, there's many ways you can make it more environmentally friendly, but it does feel wrong. I think using a helicopter to move snow seems the wrong way round completely. I mean, there's some resorts that
bring the mules back. They could transport the snow by a donkey.
Okay, I'm all in favour of mules transporting snow. Yeah.
Bring back the Sherpas to the Pyrenees. That's what we need.
Yeah. But this area of the Pyrenees, there's plenty of snow to ski on. It's pretty thin. A few of the pieces are closed for sure, but we've had a good time for sure.
Sounds amazing.
It's one of those years where we're just doing like piste skiing, right? There's no, unless you're in. It looks like the US has got it again. There's certain resorts where people are getting off piste skiing and stuff like that. But here in Europe, it's just one of those years. You get your skis on, you learn how to ski ice and that's what you focus on for the year, right? It's just how
and anyone who listens to this podcast on a regular basis will know they'll know how to ski ice because you told us how to in episode 46.
Do you know what? Seeing as though Dave's here, it'd be rude not to ask him some questions. Dave, I've got one question for you. When I'm skiing, I'm turning, and when I go particularly to the right. So my left is downhill. My skis are banging together at the tips. Why am I doing that?
That is a great question. Often,
I wish I'd told you I was going to ask it.
Yeah, thanks for ambushing me with that this early in the morning. I suspect it's probably something to do with a left and right difference on your body. So what you might have is a left foot or a right foot that is more skilled at rotating than your other foot. And maybe next time I see you, we'll have a look at this. There's stuff that we can do to have a look. But for example, the other day I was skiing with a lady who could rotate her legs, keeping her hips still. I guess it's not very good audio, but the keeping her hips still. She could rotate her legs almost to kind of 70 degrees, turning to the right-hand side. And then on the other side, she could barely do it, maybe 10, 20 degrees in terms of a sort of rotational range. Now, what that meant was that her turn to the right-hand side was absolutely brilliant and very, very skillful. And then there was something completely different going on the other side. And as ski instructors, this is something that we work quite hard on to reduce kind of left-right imbalances, so that our turns are kind of, you know, identical on both sides. But, you know, I've got some old, for example, personally, I've got some old injuries on my left ankle, which then kind of goes up a sort of chain through my knee and into my lower back, which means that I'm not as good off of my left foot as I am off of my right foot. And it might be something like that, you know, it could be an old surfing injury or you know, something like that, where you, or you know, it could be something to do with how you ride your surfboard, that you're stronger on one side than the other. And so if your tips are touching during the turn on one particular side, it might be that your inside leg is not as rotationally skillful in order to get that ski out of the way of the other one, if you see what I mean.
Okay,
All right, we'll have a look at it next time you go skiing.
All right, thanks, Dave. Ian, do you got any questions for Dave to improve your skiing? I know you don't need it.
He doesn't need it. Best skier ever.
You know, I think the thing is that you know, I know I could improve, but I'm not really that bothered about it.
That's good, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Personally, I feel like I'm obsessed with trying to get better, to the point where, you know, I'm looking forward to half term so I can just do those silly little exercises while I go with the children on the slightly more tamer days. But I feel like I need to improve all the time. But I understand that, you know, you can just go, I'm happy with what I'm skiing and I'm pretty pleased with myself. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
The mountain's different for everyone, isn't it? And there's different ways of enjoying it. And I quite like Ian's approach. I get the impression that Ian's the kind of guy who just likes being up there. Actually, I don't think he's that bothered about getting better. He's probably a decent skier already. And the mountain experience for him is you know, just being up there in the nature and in the wild, and that's also okay.
Good one, Dave. Yeah, I mean, yeah, my ideal experience would involve better snow than this, but you take what you've got, don't you?
Yeah.
How was the snow? We talked about Bansko in the last episode, Jim. Do you want to tell us any more about that?
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we play my I've got a little report about the rise of the history of Bansko.
Okay.
And when I spoke to some of the people who helped develop the resorts. So let's listen to that first. So that was that. But yeah, what questions do you have about Bansko? You obviously, both of you listened to the last podcast and my in-depth report. Do you have any questions about Bansko? Anything you really want to know?
I think for me, when I listened to your last report, the thing that struck me was you were talking about queuing for an hour to get up the lift in the morning. You said they're planning to build another one. Do you know, another gondola up there? Do you know when they're planning to introduce that at all?
Well, when they say they're planning one, they literally are just planning it. They've got to, you know, go through the. They know they need it. They want to do it. They've got to get through the process of being allowed. There's obviously people against it because it's you know, a beautiful mountainside and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's not just as straightforward as it is. You would hope it would be.
Is that every day that, you know, that's how you have to start your day, waiting for a long time to get onto the mountain?
Yeah, most of the days you do have to start like that. But like I said, if you get a fast track pass, you don't have to wait. Or
Right.
They do offer shuttle buses up there.
Right.
And you know, taxis are pretty cheap for 10 lev, which is £5. You could get a minibus, a group of you up to that mountain point. Or, you know,
Okay.
I walked up at 11 o'clock and I didn't even need to use my super VIP pass.
Right. Okay.
I'm interested, Jim, in the culture of it. So I've skied in various places around the world, and each one has like a different feel. But in terms of Bulgaria, like how does it feel when you're skiing? Does it feel sort of Balkan or Eastern or whatever? But, or, you know, is it a completely different vibe to what you ski normally in France?
It's a totally different vibe. There is those Eastern European vibes to it when you get there and stuff, but when you get there, it's really catered for just skiing. Like I said, any vice you've got, they will provide it. It's proper. They've thrown up the town, and everyone is there to try and make money, but also make sure you're having a good time. There's so many bars and stuff. It's just everyone's there to have fun. There's not a deep ingrained sense of ski heritage there or anything like that. It's just literally about cheap, good skiing fun, and that is the vibe you get from it.
Okay.
There we go. Right, reviews. That's next on the list, isn't it? Oh no, we want to talk about Jamie Burrows. Tell us about that, Ian.
Well, we can talk about it in any order you want to, but we keep talking about Ski Sunday and whether it's worth watching. But to be honest with you, I had completely missed that our friend of the show, Jamie Barrow, had broken yet another world record. This was featured on Ski Sunday, I think, last week. Jamie Barrow, for those who haven't been listening to the show since the very beginning, because I think he was involved back in like episode 3 or 4 or something like that.
Episode 4 or something.
Was it right? Episode 4. He was towed behind a car on a snowboard at 183 kilometers per hour, which, wow, is just ridiculously fast. I think Jim took the mickey out of me for being aware that I'd gone 90 kilometers an hour down the Salir in Courchevel the other week. So he's going twice as fast as that, being towed behind a car. And as it goes, the car happened to be a Tesla as well. I noticed a Tesla 3, I think.
Just another Brit setting a bad example on Strava, and if I'm honest.
I'm just amazed that he managed to do it. So I used to snowboard a long, long time ago, and I remember doing it a little while ago, and I remember catching like a front side edge or whatever and just slamming my face into the snow. And I can't even imagine doing that at 183 kilometers an hour.
Still not as fast as the fastest skier towed behind a car, though. Which is Graham Bell, and he went 189 kilometers.
Did he?
Well, yeah, he does say, Jamie Barrow, in his tweet, it wasn't as fast as they wanted to go, but it's still bloody fast. And I think it's got to be harder on a snowboard than on skis, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is it not a little bit like wakeboarding? I presume he's got like a rope or something coming out of the back of the Tesla, right?
Yeah. God. But is it like wakeboarding? It's not like any wakeboarding I've done.
I suppose it's the closest you could get to it. But
I mean, they're doing it. But my goodness,
the fastest snowboarder goes is 203 kilometers an hour down one of those flying K runs. You know what I mean? The speed ski runs.
Right. Yes.
So that's 203 kilometers an hour. To put it into perspective, he did it without it being towed by anything, just gravity itself.
Yeah.
And obviously, the world record on skis is 252 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, Jim. Yeah, that's a sort of fact I can bring up. But I know you like a good link. He was towed behind a Tesla, which generates no emissions, assuming you charge it from renewable electricity. And when I was out in Les Arcs recently, Les Arcs is actually a resort where they run all of their lifts on 100% renewable electricity. I had a little chat with a member of their the lift company team about that.
So there was no mice powering the wheels or anything like that. All just comes.
I mean, it might have been that sort of Wizard of Oz thing behind the scenes. They had loads and loads of hamsters in wheels or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that genuinely, they use renewable electricity to power all their lifts.
What about the Port de Soleil, Dave? Is that an eco-friendly resort? Do they make an effort?
I don't know much about the French side, but in Switzerland, a lot of our electricity here comes from hydroelectric power. So there are dams everywhere. I can't remember. It's a very, very high percentage comes from hydroelectric. The bit that I really took out of that is I don't understand. I've never really understood the amount of sunshine that we get up here. So, for example, I'm in Canton Valais, and they say that we get 300 days of sunshine a year. And a lot of the houses around near where I live have got solar panels on the roof, and I just installed some on the top of my garage as well to sort of take advantage of that. And I don't understand why there isn't a solar panel on the top of every pylon, every lift thingy pylon. I don't understand why there are solar panels on the top of all of them.
I'm not an expert on that, but I think the size of the array is quite important. There's an economy of scale. The array being the number of panels that are connected together at a single time. So the bigger the array, the more efficient it is at producing electricity.
But if you think of the volume,
you've definitely got a point there for sure. It makes sense.
You know, in this particular respect, because we just talked earlier about kind of Monsieur Macron and his agendas and whatnot, but I don't understand why every new construction of apartments, for example, in ski resorts that go up, isn't forced to have solar panels on it somewhere, you know, or indeed every new house in, I don't know, the UK or wherever, you know, it should be mandatory. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the spec for new development of property anyway these days is much higher than it used to be, but I'm not entirely sure that it's mandatory. But you've got a valid point there for sure.
Yeah, they've done it for calculators. Why not houses?
Yeah, why not houses? Why not new apartments? Why not, you know, ski lifts? You know, if we're all trying to do our bit, and I know you've got this campaign going, right, Ian, where you're trying to reduce people flying to ski, then why isn't the ski resort doing its bit as well? I just don't understand why every house isn't covered in solar panels.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't really that. Well, I think that we'll find that newer developments tend to focus on sustainability. And interestingly, one of our listeners, Matt Hayes, who tagged us and also the Ski Flight Free campaign that you're mentioning there in another post elsewhere on Facebook, he asked whether we could do a sustainability special. Like a one-off about sustainability, and I think maybe we should, aggregate everything into there. I mean, that we did do that one special show with the interview with Chris Moran, and we have an avalanche special coming up as well at some point, which I think is going to feature you, Dave, quite heavily as well. You and Jim did a lot of work together, didn't you?
We did. We're testing out his new equipment.
Dave did dig a massive hole, then told me to lie in it. And started covering me with snow. It was bleak.
Yeah, but I'm right, Jim, that we have an idea to release an avalanche special at some point, down the track. Is that right?
That is indeed right.
Yeah, because I'm going to have to chip in at this point. You know, we interviewed Caroline Elliott a few episodes ago, who is the owner of Fjord, the search and rescue dog. That was in episode 47.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got some other, interview with her to include in that special. But sadly, I have to let you know that her dog Fjord has recently died. I don't know any of the details about it other than she sent me an email. So that's we're thinking of her and Fjord.
It's really sad. I lost my dog 2 years ago, and I'm still gutted about it. So it's not an easy one.
Yeah.
So let's crack on with reviews, just like the one show would. They segue straight away from something like that into something completely different. So let's do. Did anyone hear me? We're just going to do some.
No, I missed that bit actually. Do you want to?
Let's crassly cut through to a segue about doing reviews. Let's get that out of the way, shall we?
Okay. Well, Frank, who I mentioned, Matt Hayes, who I mentioned just then, said the last episode was one of his favourites yet. A great banter, insight, and potential for legal action. I wasn't entirely sure what he was referring to there.
Yeah, I don't know either. What have you done, Ian? What did I say?
Well, I wondered whether it was your hangry moment in Val d'Orenz or not. But
you think Centurion isn't going to be cross with my review of Geraldine. Sorry, what is it? Wasn't Geraldine? I keep thinking it's called Geraldine from this place that's very similar in New Zealand, but it's not.
Well, you did do a good summary. We also got a message from Carolyn. I don't know her surname, but she says, I just wanted to say a big thank you. I'm a technical outdoor clothing designer working on a big ski wear project at the moment. I've just discovered your podcast. I'm really enjoying listening to the Alps vibes from my studio in the Lake District.
Big Alps vibes coming right now. Hi, I'm waving. Don't need to. Was that it as well? Is that all our reviews?
Well,
there's
we got
one
the other
from
one.
A guy called Craig. He says
Craig.
he loves the podcast and gives us 5 stars. And he's got a question. Are you prepared to answer this question, though, Ian? Can you answer this question?
Do you want to ask it, and I'll see if I can answer it?
Dave, you might know the answer to this. You've skied around the world. He's heading to Barcelona from Canada, and he's looking to try and get 2 or 3 days of skiing. He's 30 years old. He's traveling alone, and he will not have a car. And he wants to use public transport. What resort would you recommend for someone based in Barcelona without a car? I mean, I've not skied that area. I don't really know. I'm guessing that place. Any ideas?
Baqueira.
Baqueira?
Yeah, Baqueira Beret. It will be the obvious choice because you can get there direct from Barcelona. It's in the Spanish Pyrenees. It's favoured by the Spanish King of Spain. I don't know if he still goes skiing there, but he used to go skiing there. So we'll put a link into the show notes. Baqueira Beret. Good ski resort. Yeah.
Dave, anything like that?
I've got a colleague of mine called Scott Clever who runs something called Inside Out Skiing out of the Hemel Hempstead Snow Dome, and he runs trips to Europe, and he goes to Baqueira Beret quite often, and he thinks it's brilliant. So that's going to be my endorsement for your choice, Ian.
Excellent.
So there we go. That's our reviews, and let's end the show on a really exciting note. Are you excited, Ian?
Well, tell me what the note is, and then I'll tell you whether I'm excited.
It's going to be a B minor. Dave, are you excited?
Yeah, go on.
Well, the reason Dave Burrows is here is because we want to invite you, listener, to come skiing with the Ski Podcast and Dave Burrows Snow Pro Ski School. Oh my word! Ski School. And it's going to be a communal ski session. We're inviting you next year if you want to come. Dave, what's the details?
So the idea is that we're going to put a trip together where we're going to invite listeners to the Ski Podcast to come out and ski with us. So we're putting in place a package that includes bed and breakfast accommodation, skiing, a skiing lesson for everyone that goes, individual skiing lesson, and some group guiding, as well as maybe some chance to meet Jim and Ian as well. And
that is worth a lot. You got to consider that.
Really worth the price of the entrance alone. But yeah, what we've done is we've put together some details, and I'm sure that's going to be, without wishing to steal Ian's thunder, that's going to be in the show notes. But it's
you can't steal his catchphrase. Come on.
Sorry,
you've been here a day.
That's going to be a super trip. It's going to be, I think, in March next year. Towards the end of March, it will be skiing in the sunshine in a pretty little Swiss resort. And I just think it's going to be a really good chance for you guys to meet everybody, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And we're opening it up to single travelers. It's not just for people with couples, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's true. We've done the pricing.
If you've got no mates, you can make some new mates like us.
Yeah, new cool ski mates, right? Yeah, couples, singles, whoever you are, if you want to come, we've got something for you. So I've got a great team of instructors already waiting to show you around and to give you some lessons if you want them.
Great.
That's
well,
exciting.
We will. What are we asking people to do then?
My left is really looking forward to it.
Yeah. How do they find out more or let us know they're interested?
Just stick your hand up right now and we'll count everyone. That's 1, 2, 3 hands I can see. That's a success.
I will definitely be there.
So yeah, if you want, you can email jim@theskipodcast.com and I will put your name down and send you more details. But also there's a website link. It's on the Ski Podcast website, isn't it, Ian? You've put together
yes, it will be. What we'll do is I'll put together a blog post and put it live on theskipodcast.com.
And I think it's going to cost around about 873 chuffs. And I believe with that includes the lift pass, the ski tuition, and your food in the mornings and the evenings. And obviously you get all our exciting chat and banter. And in the evenings, I think we're going to do some stuff as well. We're going to have a movie night maybe, or an avalanche training session. I believe that's correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Why we run a ski operation.
I think the idea was to put in place some lectures or something each evening or something as well. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we're going to get lots of people interested, and then we can have a kind of a great big ski podcast meet up and ski together as a community. I think it's going to be really cool.
And nothing else, I'm going to see if I can get all the Daves that have appeared on the show, and that'll fill the chalet. All the Daves, that'll be good.
Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to go skiing myself in the French Pyrenees right now with the family. So,
Have a nice time.
Goodbye. And we'll see you next time.
I'm going to take my proactive right leg for a ski. Dave?
I'm going to go and meet a good friend. I've got a random day off in the middle of half term. All my other instructors are working, so I'm going to go and meet a friend of mine for lunch.
Amazing. Right, everyone have a good ski. Thanks
right.
for listening. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Cool. I thought that went really well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've got a family waiting to go now, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Bye.
Sorry,
See ya.